Alright, let's take a look here at solving triangles. We're still in the trig unit. Solving triangles, what does that even mean? It's not really like solving algebra, it's a little bit different. Solving triangles means you have to find everything on a triangle. Now every triangle has 3 sides, so you need to find all the sides. Remember that, and this is going to be really important, this side has a label. It is the letter F, because it is across from F, but it's a lowercase f. Now, I don't need to find f, lowercase f, because I already got it. It's 10. However, I do need to find lowercase e, across from the capital E there, because it's not given. And I need to find lowercase d, because it's across from here, but it's not given. So I need to find d and I need to find e, both lowercase. The other thing that I need to find is all of the angles. Now, I'm given 90 degrees. Awesome. I'm given 30 degrees. Awesome. So I need to find capital D over there. So I need to find these 3 things. I'm always going to have 3 things given to you. I'm going to have to tell you that it's 90 degrees, and there's going to be 2 other pieces of information. So you're always going to have 3, and you're going to need to find 3. So let's take a look. Okay, so now let's actually find something. Let's first, we always need to label. Across from the hypotenuse across from the 90 degrees, I do that all the time, is the hypotenuse. And then we can go from our perspective. It has to be here because that's the only information given. So if you go to the opposite over here, that will be the opposite. So I'll label that opposite. And that, of course, leaves the last section, which will be adjacent. Now that we have this, we've chosen our perspective and we've done our labeling. I need to do SOHCAHTOA. I need to choose one. So what do I need to find? Well, first of all, I have this, so I'm going to use that. And of course, I have my perspective. Now, I need to choose opposite or adjacent. So I'm just going to choose one of them right now, and I'll do that. And then I will do the other one after. Remember, even though you need to find opposite and you need to find adjacent, you can't choose both of them at the same time. That's O and A, which is TOA. And then with TOA, you would need to create a formula, which would be tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent, and opposite would be lowercase d, lowercase e, and adjacent would be lowercase d. And so there's 2 unknowns, and you can never have 2 unknowns. So we need to choose 1 unknown and then 1 known. So I'm going to choose hypotenuse because it's given to me, and then I'll do the opposite, which would be O and H, which is so. And then after that, I will do H and A, which will be ka. So I'll do those 2, but I'll do them separately. So first I'm going to do the sign. Oh, I should probably just label here, just for the heck of it. Hypotenuse is lowercase f, because it's across from f. Adjacent is lowercase d, because it's across from the d. And opposite is lowercase e, because it's across from the e. Okay. So let's do so. So is just a reminder that we've got sine of a formula. Sine of some angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now the angle is given. So sine of 30 degrees equals opposite, which is right here, letter E, over hypotenuse, which is 10, I think. Yeah. Now, sine of 30. We can find sine of 30 2 ways. We can use a calculator or we can use a table. So this is my table. Sine, I think, is this column here. So it's the second column in. And I'm going to go to 30. Sine of 30 is 0.5000, or just 0.5. So this is 0.5 equals E over 10. The other way to do sine of 30 would just be in your calculator, 30 sine, and you get 0.5. Now I need to get E alone, so I'll times both sides by 10. Now I have on the right hand side, I just have an E, and 10 times 0.5 is moving the decimal place over once, which is just going to be 5. Okay, now let's try, so I found it. E is 5. Okay, I'm going to write that down. E is equal to 5. So we found that. And so now I'm going to find, I got my perspective 30, and I have hypotenuse, and now I'll find adjacent, which is H and A, which I already did here. That's cosine, A and H. So I'll do my formula, which is cos of some angle equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now the angle that's given is cos of 30 degrees equals adjacent, which is unknown, and what letter is that? It's D, over the hypotenuse, which is 10. Now cos of 30 I don't know. Again, you can use a calculator here, and 30 cos, so 0.866025, or you can go here, cos would be the next column over, so you can find 30.866. So this cos of 30 is 0.866 equals D over 10. Now we want to get D alone, so we'll times both sides by 10, which will cancel out. And so this will move the decimal place over once to be 8.66 is equal to D. Okay, so I've now found D to equal 8.66, which looks incredibly strange because this side is 8.66 and this side is 5, but this side looks way longer. So just keep in mind that these triangles are actually all the same shape, and they don't actually represent what it will look like. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the last thing I need to do, so I found all my sides. 10 was given, 8.66, and 5. So I found all of those. Now I need my angles. Capital F, 90. Capital E, 30. And now I'm missing the last one there. Now triangles are quite nice because if you want to find D, so now we're going to find capital D. You have to know that triangles, they add up. All the angles always add up. And they always add up to 180. So take, for example, this is like a rectangle. All of these are 90. So 90, 90, 90, 90, 4 90s. 4 90s. If you times that, you get 360. So all of the angles in a rectangle are 360. Now if you just cut this in half and just made a triangle like this, you can just cut this in half, which would be 180 if you divide it by 2. So all triangles add up to 180, the degrees. So if they all add up to 180, we start with 180, and we take away the 90, and then we also take away the 30. So we subtract the other 2, then we would get what our final, what our D is. So 180 minus 90 is 90, minus 30 is 60 degrees. So D equals 60. And there you have it. So definitely a lot going on in this question. And that's because we are actually doing 3 questions in one. I did so, I did ka, and then I did the D as well. So I found all of them. I found lowercase e, I found lowercase d, and I found capital D. Okay, so let's take a look at this second example. Okay, so let's just take a look at this here. We've got 45 degrees. This is my perspective. Now that I have my perspective, I can label things. Well, I can always label the one across from the 90 degrees because that's always going to be labeled the hypotenuse. But if I go opposite 45, so that's going to be the opposite, and therefore this is the adjacent. I can come up with my letters as well. This is a lowercase c, and this would be a lowercase b, and this would be a lowercase a. So I've got my ABC and my ABC. And so now what I need to do is choose what I'm going to find. So I am given this. This is 14. So I'm going to use opposite. And of course, I have my perspective of 45. So let's do hypotenuse. So O and H. Remember, I can't do these two at the same time because I don't know C and I don't know A. There's two unknowns. I always have to have something known. So I'm going to choose the one thing that's known, 14, as well as one that's unknown, in this case the hypotenuse, and that will be O and H, which is sine. And then after that, I'll do O, because I know it, and A. So O and A would be TOA, tan. So those are going to be my two formulas. Now let's take a look. So that is just a way for me to remember the formula, which is sine of some angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now the angle that's given to me is 45. So sine of 45 degrees equals O, opposite, which is, what is that? It's 14, over the hypotenuse. What is the hypotenuse? Letter C, lowercase c. Now, sine of 45 is something. So if you take a look at our chart, here's 45, and sine is here. So 0.707. So 0.707, 0.707 equals 14 over C. Now, C is on the bottom. I can't have that. It's on the denominator. So what I need to do is get it back onto the numerator. So I will multiply the numerator by C. That way the denominator and numerator can cancel out. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'll also times that by C. So on the right, I just have a 14. And on the left, I have 0.707 times C, or just a 0.707 C. So now I can divide, and to get C alone, divide by 0.707. Divide by 0.707. So C is equal to 14 over 0.707. Now, this is kind of gross. I will give you that. But like if you didn't have a calculator, you can just leave this. Sorry, if you had a calculator, you could just punch it in. If you don't have a calculator, sorry, I don't want you to leave this. I just want you to look at this. Well, this is approximately 14 over 0.7. Now, what is 14 over 7? If you just had that. 14 divided by 7, that's just 2. But we have a decimal place that we need to move over. So do we move the decimal place over and make a 20? Or do we move the decimal place over the other way and get a 0.2? And 0.2 for a side length of a triangle when one side is already 14. In fact, if you look at it, this is 14. Hypotenuse is always a larger side. So is it a 0.2 or is it a 20? Clearly it has to, because it's bigger, it needs to be bigger than 14. Hypotenuse again is always the biggest. It has to be a 20. So this is, when you say 14 divided by 0.7, well, that is approximately 20. And so that's what I want you to do. So I chose 14 because I knew 14 would be divided by 7 to get 2. That's why I chose that number. And so you just need to keep that in mind with your math. You can reduce that fraction. 14 over 7 is 2, and then move the decimal place over one time. Now, what actually is it? Just out of curiosity. 14 divided by 0.707. It was even a 1 there, I think. 19.799. So really close to 20. Okay. So I'm going to call that 20. Now I'm going to do TOA. So TOA stands for tan of some angle equals opposite over A, which is adjacent. and tan of some angle, so my angle is 45, opposite is 14, 45, opposite is 14, and adjacent was the letter A, I believe. Yeah. Now tan of 45, so we're going to go to our table here. Tan of 45 is just a 1. So this is just 1 equals 14 over A. This sucks. So because A is on the denominator, so I'll multiply it by A on the numerator for it to cancel out, and multiply this side by A. Now A times 1 is just A. Anything times 1 is itself. So A times 1 is just going to be A. So I have A equals, and on the right side I have 14. So A is equal to 14. And I had C is equal to 20. Okay, so I can label that here. This is A is equal to 14. We had got that. And C is equal to approximately 20. Now, the last thing I need to do is my missing, so I got 20, 14, 14, I got all my sides, and now I got my angle, 90, this angle, 45, and this one is unknown. So I need to find my capital A. So every triangle adds up to 180. So to find it, I'm going to start with 180, and I'm going to subtract the two angles that I know. So I know the 90, and then I have a 45. So 180 minus 90 is 90. 90 then minus 45 is 45. So this last angle is 45 degrees. All right, so there you have it. We have done our entire solving of two triangles. Obviously a very long video here, but there's not many questions like this because they take so long. And just remember, every question's actually like 3 questions built into one.